my notes, but the stool osmolality, I looked it up just now. It's not apparently not often measured. We'll talk about that in a second. And so they substitute the serum osmolality, estimated whatever 290. So sometimes that's just plugged in, and then so what you're measuring then is stool sodium and potassium. And you subtract that from the 290. Or if you have a measured stool osmolality, you can use that. Otherwise, you're basically just estimating the stool osmolality. That's number one. Number two is so quantitative fecal fat, which is the approach to malabsorption. There is also a qualitative fecal fat, which is usually done. So you send a sample of stool to the lab and ask them to do a qualitative fecal fat. They put a red dye in it, two bands stain, two bands red, and they're looking for wide fat drop. They're looking for fat. That would be the quantitative, but the qualitative. The quantitative is you send like it's almost like it's on a lab that hates when you do it. It's like I think it's like a 72-hour stool collection. You can imagine why they hate it. You send it to the lab and you say, all right, tell me how much fat is it. So anyway, so that's the quantitative of fecal fat. All right. All right. All right. Colon cancer. We finished our discussion of diarrhea. Colon cancer. I think when in ethics, when the genetic counselor was here, you remember she talked a little bit about this. About 80% of colon cancer is sporadic, and about 20% of colon cancer is inheritable. And they talk about a couple of different inheritable conditions in the book. They talk about hereditary non-polyposis colorectal cancer and familial adenomatous polyposis. So let's talk briefly about each of those two entities. So hereditary non-polyposis colorectal cancer, or HNPCC, is an autosomal dominant disorder, and it causes about 3 to 5% of cases of colorectal cancer. Patients that carry the gene have about a 70 to 80% risk, lifetime risk of developing colorectal cancer. And compared to the sporadic form of colon cancer, which is said at 80% of the time it's sporadic, patients that have HNPCC develop colon cancer at a younger age, like in the mid-40s. Bless you. And the lesion is more likely to be proximal to the splenic flexure than it is in patients with the sporadic form. Commonly associated cancers include endometrial cancer and ovarian cancer. And patients also have an elevated risk of renal cancer and cancer of the renal pelvis. So that's why it's important to get a family history. And specifically, if you have somebody who you're thinking about this, you might want to ask about family cancer. By the way, any history of these specific cancer. Okay? Symptoms and signs are going to be the same as colorectal cancer in general. Diagnosis is going to be confirmed by genetic testing. And the diagnostic criteria for making for HNPCC again, it's confirmed by genetic testing, but the clinical criteria: 3 or more relatives with colorectal cancer or an HNPCC associated cancer, so ovarian, endometrial, renal pelvis, colorectal cancer involving at least 2 generations, and at least 1 case of colorectal cancer in the family before the age of 50. your patient is a first-degree relative of somebody with HNCCC, they should have a colonoscopy every 1 to 2 years, beginning in their 20s and then annually after age 40. Familial adenomatous polyposis. We talked about that in ethics. We talked about anyway, these are patients that develop numerous colonic polyps resulting in colon cancer by the age of 40. Diagnosis by colonoscopy and genetic testing and treatment colectomy. And the diagnosis is made by finding more than 100 polyps at the time of colonoscopy. Because it can also be associated with other tumors, it turns out that children of parents who have familial adenomatous polyposis should be screened for hepatoblastoma for birth to 85 with an annual serum alpha fetoprotein plus minus liver ultrasound. All right, any questions about that? Move on to, what else do I want to say about that? You probably heard this before, but iron deficiency in a non-menstruating female, if somebody who is not a menstruating female comes in with iron deficiency anemia, the diagnosis of colon cancer will prove another one. You have to rule out colon cancer. Okay? What that means is that you assume it's colon cancer until you prove that they don't have colon cancer. So you wouldn't want to mitigate colon cancer. We talked about iron deficiency isn't always colon cancer. Other forms of blood loss, we talked about how celiac food can be associated with iron deficiency. But with a non-menstruating female, the assumption is that they have colon cancer. Okay, let's talk about inflammatory bowel disease and two main forms: ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. Ulcerative colitis is usually, as the name implies, usually limited to the colon. Crohn's disease can be seen anywhere in the bowel, anywhere from the mouth to the anus. Anywhere from the mouth to the anus. Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, is usually limited to the colon. Other differences between these two diseases. So Crohn's disease, 80% of the time involves the small bowel. Again, you can get a little bit of small, they talk about backwash ileitis in patients with ulcerative colitis, but it's generally chronic. In Crohn's disease, the rectal sigmoid is often spared, whereas in ulcerative colitis, the rectal sigmoid is invariably involved. Patients that have Crohn's disease can be without gross bleeding. So gross bleeding can be absent in 15 to 20% of cases, whereas in ulcerative colitis, gross bleeding is usually present. Patients that have Crohn's disease are prone to the development of fistulas disease is transmural. It affects the entire thickness of the wall. So that the entire thickness of the wall. Because they develop transmural disease, they can develop entero-enteric fistulas, so they can develop a fistula from one loop of valve to another. They can develop a fistula from the colon to the stomach, that's entero-enteric, right? They can develop a fistula from the bowel to the bladder, the enterovesical. They can develop a fistula from the bowel to the vagina for a woman, enterovaginal fistula. All of these things can happen. You don't see that in ulcerative colitis because ulcerative colitis is not a transmural disease, it's a mucosal disease. Crohn's disease can skip around. Ulcerative colitis does not. So if you go in with a scope and you find an area of involvement with ulcerative colitis and then it stops, right? You're done. You don't say, well, I think it's Crohn's disease, might skip and I might find a little more disease up further ahead. It doesn't do that. Crohn's disease can be skip. So no skip lesions with ulcerative colitis. Okay, just to talk about a little bit of, to elaborate a little bit of what the book says on page 81. They talk about associated findings in inflammatory bowel disease. They mention abscess ulcers, canker sores in the mouth. Those are associated with Crohn's disease. Sclerosing cholangitis, inflammation of the bowel duct, is more common in ulcerative colitis. Pyoderma gangrenosum and pyoderma gangrenosum and erythema nodosum are skin findings. Have you seen what those things look like? Pyoderma gangrenosum is something that you might see in the primary care office or the wound clinic. Wound, and erythema nodosum. You have probably seen pictures of it before. You can see this in other conditions, including soft fibrosis. Red nodules on the lower extremity, that's erythema nodosum. And you can see this in inflammatory bowel disease. You can also see it, like I said, in soft fibrosis. Both of these diseases, ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease, can be associated with development of colon cancer. The risk of colon cancer is greater in patients that have ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. Okay? More likely to get colon cancer, more likely to develop sclerosing cholangitis. but patients that have patients that have Crohn's disease are more likely to develop intestinal obstruction because they can get narrowing of the lumen. You don't see that in patients with Crohn's disease. I'm sorry, you don't see that in patients with ulcerative colitis. And again, the way they're going to present is with oftentimes with an exudative diarrhea. Okay. Questions about the inflammatory bowel? All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop at diseases of the liver. And then tomorrow, whenever the next meeting, we'll finish up the GI chapter. We have three dedicated sessions to GI and we'll finish the next chapter. Okay, so patients that have upper and lower GI bleeding, they can present with I'm sorry, I don't think I showed any slides. Okay, so this is patients that have Crohn's disease, and they're showing you a long stricture here, I guess, in a patient that has Crohn's disease. So they have this long stricture where there's only a tiny amount of content going through it. If you can imagine that they could have problems with obstructive type symptoms. You have to be pointed to the linear ulcer. I can't say I don't think you see it. I think it's actually talking to them, talking about all the way here. I do that. Okay, this is Crohn's disease. Again, you see the skip area, so you see normal areas, and then you see what the still probably imaging the string sign where it looks like this string that's linking of these areas of bowel. Okay, and again, that reflects the luminal narrowing, okay, related to the disease. This is ulcerative colitis, diffuse inflammation, friability, erythema, hemorrhage. They typically have appearance that is with bowel swelling, and that is a pathological study they have to do. And when you last use they have to use what's called crypt aptitude. Because of biopsy demonstrating crypt branching, crypt aspect, characteristic of ulcerative colitis. Okay, so let's talk about GI bleeding. I guess we'll open this up. Again, we said that patients could present with hematemesis, they could present with walking ground emesis, they could present with melena, they could present with hydroid rectum. And typically, if the GI bleed is brisk enough, of course, they could present with hemodynamic compromise. They could present with tachycardia, hypertension, shock. Okay, so all of these things are possible. If the patient comes in with an acute GI bleed, upper or lower, acute GI bleed, the first step is going to be hemodynamic resuscitation to make sure that you don't lose the patient while you're trying to figure out what's going on. So hemodynamic resuscitation. And then what you want to do is you want to ask, okay, what kind of bleeding am I dealing with? Okay, so if vomiting blood or coffee grounds, or hemataxis. If it's melena, that's another possibility. And the other possibility is hematopesia, active white red blood fluorescence. Okay, so this suggests an upper source, right? This one suggests an upper source, usually, okay? And then this one, remember, can be an upper or lower, but usually it's low, okay? And so that's going to dictate our approach. Not surprisingly, the person who vomits blood or coffee ground is going to go to the for ECG. Esophageal gastroduodenal endoscopy, right? And then they're going to be treated based on the results of finding that endoscopy, right? If you have a patient that has melanoma, again, since this is usually going to reflect bleeding above the ligament of Christ, you're going to send them for an ECG. Remember, melanoma isn't always upper. Sometimes it's lower. So one possibility is that you send them to ECG and you find the source, like you did over here. Again, you're going to then treat them as focus. But what if you do an ECG and you don't find the source? Well, that suggests that you're dealing with a case of melanoma where the bleeding is coming from below the ligament of Christ. So then what you're going to do is you're going to work them up from the other end. Instead of colonoscopy. Okay? And then if that's negative, you may have to do some imaging of the small bowel. Right? They make this a little bit more complicated than passively. They put in this thing about passing the major gastric here. I don't know if you necessarily need to do this. You could probably treat this the same way you treat that, and then it's a lot easier. Okay? So instead of an ECG, if it's positive, or good, if it's negative, then you're going to work them off as if it is. So I don't think you need to work them like that. The NG tube is a relatively quick way to find out whether you're dealing with an upper tube. Okay? Okay, I'm going to stop there. Does anybody have any questions?